HS. Various security forces, agencies and their mandate. India's security architecture. Ministry of Home Affairs. Ministry of Home Affairs is the sole authority accountable for maintaining internal security. The Ministry of Home Affairs extends manpower and financial support, guidance and expertise to the state governments for the maintenance of security, peace and harmony without trampling upon the constitutional rights of the states. The Ministry of Home Affairs has the following constituent departments for maintaining internal security. Department of Border Management dealing with management of borders, including coastal borders. Department of Internal Security dealing with police, law and order and rehabilitation. Department of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh Affairs dealing with the constitutional provisions in respect of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh and all other matters relating to them excluding those with which the Ministry of External Affairs is concerned. Apart from that, IPS, Indian Police Services, reports to the Home Ministry. There are 6 Central Armed Police Forces, CAPFS, namely Border Security Force, BSF, Central Industrial Security Force, CISF, Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, ITBP, Sashastra Seema Bal, SSB, and National Security Guards, NSG, and 1 Central Paramilitary Force, CPMF, i.e. Assam Rifles, AR, under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Out of these, AR, BSF, ITBP and SSB are the border guarding forces while CRPF assists the state governments, UT administrations in matters related to maintenance of public order. Intelligence and coordination. The present architecture consists of political, administrative, intelligence and enforcement elements. At the political level, there is the Cabinet Committee on Security. The administrative element is the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Prime Minister's Office and the Cabinet Secretariat. Chapter 7. Various security forces, agencies and their mandate. 665. The intelligence elements are spread over different ministries. There is the Intelligence Bureau which reports to the Home Minister. There is the Research and Analysis Wing which falls under the Cabinet Secretariat and hence reports to the Prime Minister. There are organizations such as Joint Intelligence Committee, JIC, National Technical Research Organization, NTRO, and Aviation Research Center, ARC, which report to the National Security Advisor, and there is the National Security Council Secretariat under the NSA which serves the National Security Council. The armed forces have their own intelligence agencies, one each under the Army, Navy and Air Force and an umbrella body called the Defense Intelligence Agency. The enforcement element of this architecture consists of the central paramilitary forces such as CRPF, BSF, CISF, ITBP, Assam Rifles, SSB and the NSG. There are other agencies which specialize in financial intelligence. There are the directorates in the Income Tax, Customs and Central Excise Departments, the Financial Intelligence Unit and the Enforcement Directorate. Internal Security Ecosystem in India. Security Concern. 1. Terrorism, Naxalism Management. Responsible Agency. CRPF. NSG, Rashtriya Riles, Indian Reserve Battalion, RBI. CISF, Defense Security. BSF, ITBP SSB, Assam Rifles. Focus Area. Integrated Action, LWE District. Development. Special Infrastructure Scheme, Anti-Terrorism. 2. Critical Infrastructure Protection. 3. Border Security. airports, ground transport system, power plants, government buildings, surveillance, fending, guarding roads, and flood lighting, BOPs, ICP's development programs. 4. Maritime security. 5. Police modernization. Coastal security, vessel traffic management, coastal police stations. Indian Navy, Indian Coast Guards, Coastal Police, CISF police modernization in states and UTS police modernization in state police. 6. City surveillance. National Police Academy, CCTNS Safe City Project. Departments. State Police Departments. 7. Intelligence and Cyber Security. Cyber Security, Intelligence Collection, NETGRID, Near R and Now, IB, MUM Terrorism Financing and Investigations Agency Contra. Armed Forces. The armed forces are the military forces of Republic of India which are supported by paramilitary forces, and it is the world's second largest military force, by number of military and paramilitary personnel. Some important provisions. Article 355 of the Constitution provides that, the Union to protect every state against external aggression and internal disturbance and to ensure that the government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. The Commander-in-Chief of the Indian military is the President of India. The responsibility for national defense rests with the Cabinet under the Ministry of Defense. The Indian Armed Forces, only military, are the second largest in the world, after the People's Liberation Army of China, and have troops deployed around the world. Recently, Government of India created new post Chief of Defence Staff for better coordination among armed forces. (666) Indian Army. Indian Army is the land-based branch and the largest of the Indian Armed Forces. It is commanded by the Chief of the Army Staff. The Indian Army has a regimental system, but it is operationally and geographically divided into 7 commands, with the basic field formation being a division. The primary mission is to ensure national security and unity and protecting the nation from exterior aggression and threats and maintaining peace and security within its borders, especially in insurgency-hit Kashmir and the Northeast. It also conducts humanitarian aid and rescue operations during natural calamities, and it sometimes helps the government cope with internal threats. One has also been an active participant in numerous United Nations peacekeeping missions, including the ones in Cyprus, Lebanon, Congo, Angola, Mozambique and Somalia. Role of AFSPA in maintaining security. Armed Forces Special Powers Act, AFSPA, is an act of the Parliament of India which was passed on the 11th of September 1958. It granted special powers to the armed forces in what the act terms as disturbed areas. In disturbed areas, an officer of the armed forces has powers to arrest without warrant, enter and search in any premises, fire at its discretion to preserve law and order. Army officers have immunity for their actions, although the usefulness of the act has been universally acknowledged, in particular for stabilizing the Kashmir Valley and maintaining peace. The act has received criticisms from several sections for alleged concerns about human rights violations, arbitrary killings, torture, cruel, inhuman and degrading treatment and forced disappearances have alleged to have happened. General Studies, Mains Paper I. Indian Air Force. The Indian Air Force is divided into 5 operational and 2 functional commands. Its primary responsibility is to secure Indian airspace and to conduct aerial warfare during a war conflict. The IAF provides close air support to the Indian Army troops in the battlefield and also provides strategic and tactical airlift capabilities. Their role ranges from airlift and surveillance to possible offensive action. Indian Navy. The primary objective of the Navy is to secure the nation's maritime borders. They show a greater influence in India's maritime area of interest, to further the nation's political, economic and security objectives. In cooperation with the Indian Coast Guard, they ensure order and stability in India's maritime zones of responsibility. Indian Navy is also used to enhance its international relations through joint exercises, port visits and humanitarian missions and disaster relief. India conducts naval exercises with other friendly countries to increase naval interoperability and to strengthen cooperative security relationship. During the 2006 Israel-Lebanon conflict, the Indian Navy launched Operation Sukoon to evacuate Indian nationals, Sri Lanka and Nepali citizens, from war-torn Lebanon. The Navy keeps vigil on the Lakshadweep archipelago and other borders to deter piracy attempts by Soma pirates. The Marine Commando Force, MCF, also known as MARCOS, is a special forces unit of the Indian Navy deployed for direct action, special reconnaissance, warfare and counterterrorism, paramilitary forces. The term paramilitary forces was previously used to refer to a variety of armed services that aid the operations of the law enforcement agencies of India and the Indian Armed Forces according to the official definition adopted in 2011. Paramilitary forces refers to three organizations which assist the Indian Armed Forces particularly closely and are led by officers of the Indian Army and Indian Navy. Various security forces, agencies and their mandate. 667. This new definition of paramilitary excluded services now known as the Central Armed Police Forces, CAP, e.g. the Central Reserve Police Force and services now known as the State Out Police Forces, the Rashtriya Biles are not a paramilitary force, but part of the Indian Army. Assam Rifles. The Assam Rifles is the oldest paramilitary force. Assam IAFs is under the control of the Ministry of Home Affairs, MBA. They perform many roles including the provision of internal security under the control of the army through the conduct of counter-insurgency and border security operations. They provide aid to the civil power in times of emergency, the provision of communications, medical assistance and education in remote areas. In times of war they are used as a combat force to secure rare areas if needed. It has been guarding the India-Myanmar border as per the government policy One Border One Force. Indian Coast Guard. The Indian Coast Guard is a branch of the Indian Armed Forces. They report to the Ministry of Defence. Its mission is the protection of India's maritime interests and maritime law enforcement with jurisdiction over both territorial and international waters, including contiguous zone and exclusive economic zone. The Coast Guard works in close cooperation with the Indian Navy, Department of Fisheries, Department of Revenue, Customs, and the Central and State Police Forces. Preservation and protection of man ecology and environment including pollution control is one of the main objective of Coast Guard. Safety and protection of Anishal Islands, offshore terminals and other installations. Protection and assistance to fishermen and mariners at EA. Central Armed Police Forces. There are many Central Armed Police Forces, CAPF, which are constituted for specific purposes. All the CAPF are discussed below. Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF. The Central Reserve Police Force, CRPP, came into existence as Crown Representatives Police on the 27th of July 1938. It functions under the aegis of Ministry of Home Affairs. Besides law and order and counter-insurgency duties, the CRPP plays a major role in the General Elections Parliament Duty Group as an elite CRPF unit tasked to provide armed protection to Parliament House and are trained in combating nuclear and biochemical attacks, rescue operations and behavioral management. RAF. The Rapid Action Force, RAF, is a specialized battalion of the CRPF formed in 1992 to deal with communal riots and related civil unrest. It was raised by converting 10 existing CRPF battalions, 30I to deal with communal riots in an extremely agile and quick manner. Its mandate and to rush to a place of communal snowdent with zerb response time, control the hot and render aid to the renaissant persons ravaged by riots. Cobra. Commando Battalion for Resolute Action Forte has been raised as part of CEPP and trained for counter-insurgency and jungle warfare operations. Border Security Force (BSF). The Border Security Force (BSF) is a border guarding force of India and it is one of the many law enforcement agencies of India. They guard India's and border with Pakistan, Bangladesh during peace and prevent transnational crime. It is under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. It is currently the world's largest border guarding force. They are assigned with the task of counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations as well. (668). General Studies, Mains Paper 3. The role of SSB consists of the following. To promote sense of security among the people living in the border areas. Collect trans-border intelligence. Guarding of prisoners of war camps and acting as guides to the army in border areas are their primary work when they help army. During war, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, ITBP. ITBP is a specialized mountain force and most of the men are professionally trained mountaineers and skiers. Their major roles relate to vigil on the northern borders, detection and prevention of border violations, promotion of the sense of security among the local population, provide security to sensitive installations and threatened VIPs, restore and preserve order in any area in the event of disturbance. The ITBP is trained in medical camp, disaster management and nuclear, biological and chemical disasters. The manpower of ITBP are exposed to high-velocity storms, snow blizzards, avalanches and landslides. Besides the hazards of high altitude and extreme cold, ITBP is tasked with guarding the Ontra stretch of Indo-China border. Sashastra Seema Bal, SSB. It is a armed border force formerly known as Special Service Bureau and it is currently under the administrative control of the Ministry of Home Affairs. It was specifically created as the brainchild of Indian think tank to counter the Chinese by using guerrilla tactics. SSB is the first border guarding force which has decided to recruit women battalions. SSB is also engaged in counter-insurgency operations in Jammu and Kashmir and anti-Naxal operations in Jharkhand and Bihar, and participates in election duties. Presently, SSB is guarding Bhutan and Nepal border to prevent trans-border crimes and unauthorized entry or exit from the territory of India. To prevent smuggling and other illegal activities. Central Industrial Security Force, CISF. The CISF came into existence in 1969. It is directly under the Ministry of Home Affairs. They provided integrated security cover to the public sector undertakings, PSUs, which occupied the commanding heights of the economy in the 70s. CISF is currently providing security cover to nuclear installations, space establishments, airports, seaport, and power plants, sensitive government buildings, even heritage monuments. The CISF is in charge of airport security at all commercial airports in India. Among the important responsibilities recently entrusted to the CISC are the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, VIP security, disaster management and establishment of a formed police unit of the UN at Haiti. In 2008, the CISP Act was amended to allow CISF provide services to private parties and cooperatives in lieu of a fees. Railway Protection Force, RPF. Railway Protection Force, RPE, ensures the safety, security and boosts the confidence of the traveling public in the Indian Railways. They fight against criminals in protecting railway passengers, passenger area and railway property. The force facilitates passenger travel and security by removing all antisocial elements from trains, railway premises and passenger area. Remain vigilant to prevent trafficking in women and children. The force helps in rehabilitating destitute children found in railway areas. Cooperate with other departments of the railways in improving the efficiency and image of the Indian Railways. They are the bridge between the government railway police, local police and the railway administration. During peace, they prevent smuggling and any other illegal activities on the border and carry out anti-infiltration duties. They also various security forces, agencies and their mandate. 669. Adopt proactively all modern technology, best human rights practices, management techniques and special measures for protecting of female and elderly passengers and children, in the pursuit of these objectives. National Security Guard, NSG. The National Security Guard, NSG, is a special force utilized for counterterrorism activities involved created under the National Security Guard Act in 1986. They are the second line of defense to the nation. The NSG members are also known as black cats because of the black dull cotton coveralls and balaclavas or helmets they wear. The NSG specific goals include neutralization of terrorist threats, handling hacking situations in air and on land, bomb disposal, search, detection and neutralization of EDs, fire, post-blast investigation, engaging in neutralizing terrorists in specific situations, hostage rescue. The task of providing VVIP security for high-risk VVIPs in India is done by the Special Rangers Group, SRG, of the NSG. Elite Indian Special Forces. 1. Para Commandos. One of the most important special forces in the country, the Para Commando are a unit of the Indian Army established in 1965. They deal with hostage rescue, counter-terrorism, personnel recovery and asymmetric warfare. Almost all of them are recruited from the Parachute Regiment of the Indian Army, due to which they are always kept at an optimum level of operational efficiency and physical fitness. Some of their more notable operations included the 1971 war with Pakistan, the 1909 Kargil War and the infamous Operation Blue Star in 1084. 2. Special Frontier Force formed in 1902. The main goal of creating the SFF was to conduct covert operations behind Chinese lines in the Sino-Indian War. After the war, the SFF has been used for various other tasks, first under the Intelligence Bureau and eventually under the Research and Analysis Wing. Presently, the team carries out various operations such as counter-terrorism, intelligence gathering, combat air control and also occasionally training foreign military. 3. Ghatak Force. The Ghatak Force is an infantry platoon. The team mostly comprises of 20 people, and only the most physically fit and motivated soldiers are selected to be a part of the Ghatak Force. Their operations include special reconnaissance, raids on enemy artillery positions and air attacks on targets clip within enemy lines. 4. Marcos, short for Man Commandos. Marcos is Special Operations Unit of the Indian Navy. Although capable of operations in any kind of terrain, the Marcos specialize in operations conducted in a maritime environment. Marcos, operational since 1987, is known to carry out various operations related to counter-terrorism, amphibious warfare, hostage rescue and unconventional warfare. 5. Garud Commando Force, a special forces unit of the Indian Air Force. The Garud Commando Force was established in February 2004. Its job is to protect the various bases of the Indian Air Force, and to provide security and relief in times of 6. Special Protection Group. The SPG is a protection agency of the Government of India. It is responsible for the protection of the Prime Minister of India, and even the former Prime Ministers post the Rajiv Gandhi assassination. The SPG became more organized. Their job is to assess threat, gather intelligence and provide impenetrable protection. 7. Cobra, a specialized unit of the CHPF to control the Naxalite problem in India. The Commando Battalion for Resolute Action, Cobra, was formed in 2008. The elite force has been trained to track, hunt, and eliminate the small notorious Naxalite groups that exist in the country. (670). General Studies, Mains Paper 3. State Police Special Forces. Force 1 is an elite commando force, which is a specialized counter-terrorism unit to guard the Mumbai metropolitan area, one of the largest metropolitan areas in the world, formed by Government of Maharashtra on the lines of National Security Guards, NSG. In wake of the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, the Government of Maharashtra decided to form a new, specialized force to tackle terror. It was commissioned on November 24, 2009. The initial training of the unit was made under the help and supervision of Israeli Special Forces. The Delhi police were the first to set up a Special Weapons and Tactics SWAT team as part of their renewed counter-terror measures founded in 2010. The unit, formed before the Commonwealth Games, is specially trained to combat urban crises in the capital as its training and combat skills are city-centric. The training includes advanced hand-to-band combat moves from Krav Maga, a martial art developed by the Israeli army. The commandos also learn warfare techniques, such as identifying and defusing improvised explosive devices. Intelligence and Investigation Agencies. Intelligence Bureau (IB). The Intelligence Bureau (IB) is India's internal intelligence agency and reputedly the world's oldest intelligence agency. In 1909, the Indian Political Intelligence Office was established in England in response to the development of Indian revolutionary activities, which came to be called the Indian Political Intelligence (EP) from 1921. The EP was run jointly by the India Office and the Government of India and reported jointly to the Secretary of the Public and Judicial Department of the India Office and the Director of Intelligence Bureau, DIB, in India and maintained close contact with Scotland Yard and M153. IB is presently used to garner intelligence from within India and also execute counter-intelligence and counter-terrorism tasks. The Bureau comprises employees from law enforcement agencies, mostly from the Indian Police Service, IPS, and the military. The IB also passes on intelligence between other Indian intelligence agencies and the police. The Bureau also grants the necessary security clearances to Indian diplomats and judges before they take the oath. Research and Analysis Wing, RNAW. Research and Analysis Wing, RNAW, is the primary external intelligence agency of India. It was formed in September 1968. Its creation was necessitated post the Sino-Indian War 1962 and Indo-Pakistan War of 1965, which posed various gaps in intelligence gathering undertaken by Intelligence Bureau, which then handled both internal and external intelligence. This convinced the Government of India that a specialized, independent agency was required for competent external intelligence gathering. The primary function of RNAW is collection of external intelligence and counterterrorism. In addition, it is responsible for obtaining and analyzing information about foreign governments, corporations and persons to advise Indian policymakers. The present RNAW objectives include and are not limited to monitoring the political, military, economic and scientific developments in countries which have direct bearing on India's national security and the formulation of its foreign policy. Molding international public opinion with the help of the strong and vibrant Indian diaspora. Covert operations to safeguard India's national interests, anti-terror operations and neutralizing terror elements posing a threat to India. Bureau of Police Research and Development, BPR&D. BPR&D was set up in 1970 to identify the needs and problems of police in the country and undertake appropriate research and studies to overcome such problems. Its mandate is to keep abreast of latest developments in the fields of science and technologies with a view to promote the use of appropriate technology in police work. Various security forces, agencies and their mandate. 671. Central Forensic Institutions in India. Central Forensic Science Laboratory, CFSL, CBI. Directorate of Forensic Science Services, DFSS, Central Fingerprint Bureau, CFPB. National Investigation Agency, NIR. It is a federal agency established by the government to combat terror in India. It acts as the central counter-terrorism law enforcement agency. The agency is empowered to deal with terror-related crimes across states without special permission from the states. NIR was created after the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks as need for a RA central agency to combat terrorism was realized. A state government may request the central government to hand over the investigation of it to the NIR, provided the case has been cased or registered for the offences as contained in the schedule to the NIR Act. Central government can also order NIR to take over investigation of any scheduled offence anywhere in the India. Officers of the NIR have all powers, privileges and liabilities which the police officers have in connection with investigation of any offence. In year 2012, NIR with the assistance of Interpol and Saudi intelligence agencies has successfully arrested terrorists namely Abu Jundal, Fasiha Mohammed and Yasin Bharkal. In 2019, Amendment to NIR Act, 2008 empowered the investigating agency to probe terror attack, targeting Indians and Indian interest abroad. Narcotics Control Bureau, NCB. The Narcotics Control Bureau, NCB, is the chief law enforcement and intelligence agency of India responsible for fighting drug trafficking and the abuse of illegal substances. The Narcotics Control Bureau was created on the 17th of March 1988 to enable the full implementation of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, 1985 and fight its violation through the Prevention of Illicit Trafficking in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, 1988. The chief purpose of the Narcotics Control Bureau is to fight drug trafficking on an all-India level. It works in close cooperation with Customs and Central Excise, Income Tax, Indian Police Service, IPS, Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, Central Economic Intelligence Bureau, CEIB, and other Indian intelligence and law enforcement agencies both at the national and states level. The NCB also provides resources and training to the personnel of India's law enforcement agencies in fighting drug trafficking. The NCB also monitors India's frontiers to track down points where smuggling activities take place with foreign traffickers. National Crime Records Bureau, NCRB. The National Crime Records Bureau, NCRB, is responsible for collecting and analyzing crime data as defined by the Indian Penal Code. IPC provides the investigating officers with the tools, technologies and information to facilitate faster and more accurate investigation of crime and detection of criminals. Following objectives were set for the NCRB to function as a clearinghouse of information on crime and criminals, including those operating at national and international levels, so as to assist the investigators and others in linking crimes to their perpetrators. To store, coordinate and disseminate information on interstate and international criminals from and to respective states, national investigating agencies, courts and prosecutors in India without having to refer to the police station records. To collect and process crime statistics at the national level. To receive from and supply data to penal and correctional agencies for their tasks of rehabilitation of criminals.